White cop runs over a 4-year-old black girl and then shoots her father to death. Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show. Now, I know what you're saying. I always bring up these very racially motivated stories, but I am just reporting things that actually happen. Notice I don't ever say whether they're right or wrong, or I just give the legality of it and report the story. So the story is pretty cut and dry. I'm going to give my opinion at the end of this. Father is sitting in a restaurant. His little girl, 4-year-old, and is walking across the street with her cousin, 18-year-old. A cop is riding, an off-duty cop is riding on his motorcycle. No identification whatsoever that he's a cop. He says, this is what I am going to give my opinion on. He says the little girl ran out into the street. And he, in order to avoid her, jumped off of his motorcycle and fell down. The motorcycle, still going, skidded and flipped and hit the little girl and the 18-year-old. That's according to the cop. The little girl, of course, with, I don't know how much a motorcycle weighs or even what motorcycle is in the question, then, of course, was struck by the motorcycle and looked like something out of Walking Dead. Her entire face was removed. Half of her face was completely removed. The cop said he ran over, now notice this, he ran over to try and resuscitate the little girl. The father, seeing this in the restaurant, jumps up, runs out over to the cops, starts screaming at him. Now, here's where the story diverges again. The cop says he identified himself, and he said, the father said, I don't care who you are, and proceeds to beat him. The cop said he was in fear for his life and pulled out his gun, shot once, and killed the father dead. And that's the end of the story, the end of the report. Now, a couple of things diverge also. The cop said that by jumping off of the motorcycle, he had a broken collarbone, a concussion, and was losing consciousness. Here is what I think how the scenario happened, and I'll tell you what the witnesses say. The cop was drunk. I think the cop was drunk. I believe that he ran over the 4-year-old and the 18-year-old, and in so doing, fell off the bike afterwards. I do not believe that he ran over to try and resuscitate the 4-year-old, because he says he's at this point has a broken collarbone and is losing consciousness. Broken collarbone, broken leg, and is losing consciousness. I believe the father saw everything and proceeded to come over and, of course, react as any parent would react, with some maniac running over his 4-year-old, who he then sees in this complete disarray and loses it, which is exactly what a parent would do. Any parent would do. The cop says he identified himself as a police and said, quote, the man said, I don't give an MF who you are, and proceeds to beat him. Well, all of the witnesses, 20 witnesses, said the cop at no point identified himself as a cop until after he shot the man dead. Even so, Even if he were a cop, first of all, he's off duty. He's riding a motorcycle. I think he was drunk. I'm willing to bet he was completely high as a kite. And I do not believe that the little girl ran out into the street. How is she running out into the street when the motorcycle hit both her and the 18-year-old kid? Or adult at this point. The 18-year-old cousin. How is that possible if she's running out into the street? And I don't believe that it was all of a sudden. I believe he was drunk and he just plowed over both of them. Of course, the 18-year-old was also in critical condition. The witnesses said the cop did not identify himself at no point. I believe the father was punched him, knocked him down. So let's get this straight. So this is a 43-year-old cop, a veteran cop, and somehow a guy punches him and knocks him down. Cops are supposed to have all sorts of martial arts and personal combat training that they upgrade and update on a regular basis. They have, I believe, a yearly exam, a yearly physical exam. There is supposed to be in I don't want to say it, but they're supposed to theoretically tip-top physical condition. The father is 26 years old, a black man, and he punches the cop and knocks him out in one hit, knocks him down in one hit. And I don't believe the cop was sober. There's no scenario where the cop is completely sober. And I don't believe that he jumped off of his bike to avoid hitting the little girl. How do you jump off of a bike to avoid hitting the... How are you thinking that losing control of the bike is going to help the situation or avoid the situation? I've ridden a motorcycle. I've ridden a little tiny motorcycle. And any time that I've tried to avoid hitting something, I went down with a bike. Quite a few times. Me and the bike rolling underneath trucks and cars. I've done it. Trying to avoid a wreck. I never at any point jumped off the bike. That doesn't make sense. And this guy says this is a veteran cop. He was not sober. There's no possible scenario where he's sober. That anything in the story proceeds where this cop is sober. I believe he was high as a kite, and this scenario unfolded. Of course, let me get the. It sounds so Nazi-like. The Fraternal Order of Police Spokesman. Doesn't that sound like some sort of Satan worshipping secret society? Oh, that sounds terrible to me. I'm sorry. I'm not a cop. What for you people who are experts with motorcycles, and for you policemen who watch my video, tell me what you think. Do you think there is a scenario where this cop is sober? This doesn't sound like this cop was sober. I just don't think the cop was sober. And I think I don't have an update past this story as to what happened. I guarantee you the cop didn't lose not even iota of sleep, not a single cent from his paycheck, and I bet you he's still on the force. I'll probably try and update this video later. But tell me what you think. This is a Shikama Live Show. Your host Shikama. Like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. And you can check me out on Facebook. The link is right on my channel. Thank you for tuning in to the Shikama Live Show.